Welcome, Secretary. If we want to increase critical mineral production, wouldn't that be a good opportunity to update the 1872 Mining Act, which is now 149 years old, in order to make sure that we are actually doing this responsibly?
I assume so.
And would electrifying passenger transportation, would that help American consumers finally break free of the sort of ball and chain of high gasoline prices?
It would. We have to continue to do work
When you
to
look
bring
on
down the cost.
when you look at a cents per mile approach
Absolutely.
to electrifying homes and businesses, I know that's something that you're looking at. It's really critical in meeting the president's climate goals. But historically, we have really over-relied on tax credits to create incentives to do that kind of work. And a lot of my constituents, for example, just don't have tax liability, so they can't really they can't necessarily take advantage of tax credits. You know, one of the ideas that has gained a lot of traction is shifting that to a point of sale rebate that would open up that incentive structure to many low-income Americans. Would you be willing to work with myself, with this committee, on new ways to incentivize the electrification of our homes and businesses?
Absolutely.
Does the U.S. have a clear blending standard for hydrogen transport in our existing infrastructure and what is currently largely carrying methane and net fossil gas?
We're looking at that and researching what that blending standard might be, and working with other agencies and state regulators too, to see what that might look like, because I think it's an important strategy.
I think it would be incredibly helpful to have a safe standard set today so that all of this investment can be unlocked and can utilize, at least in the early stages, the existing gas infrastructure. And as you mentioned, there's a huge amount of overlap of potential responsibility from many different agencies with respect to permitting natural gas or permitting hydrogen. And it's not clear to me even that if you were to switch over to transporting hydrogen in the same infrastructure, that you might need a brand new permit. So is DOE doing the work to sort of bring all those agencies together?
Yes.
And figure out what that's going to look like?
That's part of our hydrogen shot. You know, we got the research side, and we also have the deployment side. And so, yeah, our hydrogen technologies office is looking at that.
Yeah, I think that the sooner we have that, the sooner we'll be able to really attract the capital to make those changes. As you're probably aware, a number of states across the Southeast and the West have been that there's a renewed interest in really expanding wholesale electricity markets, ISO and RTO markets. Organized wholesale electricity markets really help bring down costs for consumers. And one of the things that there seems to be a real need for is simply specific initiatives and increased support and assistance to states to be able to thoughtfully expand those markets. Is that something that you, as Secretary, that the department would be willing to work with this committee to really incentivize the expansion of those markets?
Absolutely.
Great. Transmission investment tax credit, that's something that the president rolled out in his American Jobs Plan. How important is that to really building out a modern grid?
It's hugely important. As you know, a lot of transmission is built on spec, or they don't build on spec.
They
want to make sure that they have offtake, and so we have to absorb some of that risk in order to get the level of build-out that is necessary for our needs. There's right now over 600 gigawatts of request for backed up for a grid that doesn't exist yet.
Right. I want to thank you for being so succinct, because I don't think I've ever gotten through this many questions on this committee. And I'll just leave you with one last thought in my remaining seconds. The NRC, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, is currently assessing whether to give a private corporation a 40-year license to construct and operate an interim storage facility in New Mexico. And as I've discussed with you in the past, unless DOE fulfills its statutory responsibility to provide permanent waste disposal, interim sites can become permanent sites. That is not something that my state is signed up for. And so myself, along with other New Mexico elected leaders, are going to be sending you a letter describing our concerns more in detail, and I would just appreciate you taking a look at those.
Will do.
Thanks.
Thank you, Senator.